Hey guys, Ilya here. I'm super excited to tell you about the GainMatch 1.1, all the new features. I'll try to be very quick, but first of all, let me thank you for the huge response that GainMatch has got. A lot of amazing comments. Some people claim it to be the utility plugin of the year, and many great feedback. Thank you all. Most of the things that are implemented in the new GainMatch are from your user feedback, user requests. The first thing you may notice, it is in black now. Certainly you can go back to the light theme, right click with Shift or Control, you go to the globals menu and there is look and feel light theme, and here it is. Now this plugin works in Pro Tools. You see this is a little too short for Pro Tools plugin windows, so you can enable extended width. There are more groups now in the GainMatch. You can have up to 64. If you right click on groups, you can select more groups, then save and reload your session. The groups menu is now a bit more convenient to use. It is more compact and you can see all the colors of the groups, and if the group has a sender, you see the first half is colored. If it has a receiver, the second half is colored, and so on. You can easily see and navigate through the groups. Oh, you see, this group has no sender, no before plugin. So now by default the after plugin goes to neutral if there is no before plugin. This is a little tiny improvement. You can also enable or disable this option in global settings. Initially, GainMatch was not supposed to be used on many channels. It was designed to be used as you put two plugins, one before, one after, decide if your chain of plugins does it improve the sound or not, and after that you remove the before plugin and maybe even the after plugin and move on. But many users asked for more groups because they want to use it on many channels, probably in the auto mode. This is a great idea to try, that's why we implemented more groups, up to 64, though you should remember that more groups require more CPU and more memory, certainly, so choose as many as you really need. Here just a short example of what the Delta mode does. Right-clicking on the Listen button, listen to Delta. It takes the before signal, inverts the polarity, and now, if you click, you hear the difference. You see this limiter takes the peaks off and you can hear exactly what it has removed. You can hear how release works, and so on. So you can also enable this listen mode holding shift. If you hold shift and press on the listen before, you go into this listen delta mode, or just right clicking here. Regarding the delta mode, you should just keep in mind that your before and after signal should be at the same level, so that when you invert them, they cancel each other out and only the difference stays. Another nice option that was also suggested by the user is the ability to listen to the before signal with the same loudness as the after. Not lower the after, but raise the before if they differ. Listen to this vocal and listen to the before signal. It gets quieter and it's hard to decide if it was better or worse before all these plugins. If you right click on this listen button, you can enable the listen gain control, and also additional control buttons appear here. This way you can adjust the level of the before signal you are listening to. This button now applies this difference to this parameter. You can easily compare after and before. Instead of lowering the after signal, you now raise the before and compare them in the same manner. There is also the auto mode for this additional listen gain parameter, so you can click on it and relax. It will be adjusted automatically.
strange type of chemistry. Oh, you become a part of me. After all the lights go down.
So the signal before was a little more boomy. It had more low end. And after is a bit more clear and a bit more in control. This is a cool option. I was really happy when it was implemented. I think this is a nice addition to this GainMatch plugin. A few more workflow improvements I want to mention. You can now fine-tune the difference. If you suddenly feel that auto mode works slightly not the way you want it, for example, it makes the signal softer than you think it should be, then you can fine-tune this just a little bit and make it at the level you want it to be. The option that was implemented a long time ago, but it was not included in the first version, suspend comparison if there is no signal. This is very useful when you are in auto mode and maybe writing automation and you have a drop in your signal, there is no signal, silence. So when there is silence, the plugin doesn't compare and doesn't do any adjustments. This is what suspend comparison is for. The gain resolution can be now from the globals menu set to 0.01 decibels. I prefer 0.1 decibel resolution, but if you need it, it is there now. Also, the delay detection has been improved, and now you can also detect delays much larger than before. If you have some plugins that introduce delays like 100,000 of samples, there are such queues and so on. You can now compensate for them even if you have several such plugins on your master bus, for example. You can easily change your buffer size, set it bigger. It will require more CPU and more memory, but you'll be able to compensate for really long delays. Some users were confused when using GainMatch in target loudness mode on short samples like drums. For example, here we have a kick drum. Take a look. If we enable the auto mode, the plugin just keeps adding gain and it looks very strange. Why is that? But in fact, now you can click here and display the loudness it measures. You see that the loudness level is really not very high because it measures the last 3 seconds and a lot of silence between the samples, so the overall loudness is not too high and it keeps increasing it to match this target loudness. And while there is no sound, it doesn't do anything because suspend comparison works. So it works perfectly fine, but for signals that are continuous, like guitars or bass or a mix, and when you need to do something with short samples, the peak mode, which is introduced in GainMatch 1.1, probably will do a better job. You see, it measures the peak value and tries to adjust the gain so that the peak value is where you set it. You can do it manually, certainly. For example, now the peak value after the gain knob is -11. You click here and it is set to -18, the target value. But the cool thing is that you can enable the auto mode, and now it works as a real-time normalizer. You can change the target and your peak value adjusts accordingly. This is not a limiter, certainly, it just measures the maximum peak value and tries to adjust gain so that it matches the target value. I know there are some plugins that do the same thing, but I think it is a very valuable addition to GainMatch as well. In the previous video I've mentioned some tools that can be used for gain matching, and another tool should be added to that list. Just a few days ago, the update to reference 2, there is a RefSend plugin, it is mentioned somewhere here, yeah, bypassing the whole chain of effects. I think this is great that more and more tools do this. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this little review of the new functions, and I hope it works for you, makes your life easier. Have fun, make great music, all the best, till next time, bye bye.